Hello everyone, I'm Varun Reddy. In today's video, an insight into the Masters of Environmental Planning and the Masters of Urban and Regional Planning will be given by the students and the faculty of SPA Bhopal. They'll be also giving you the information regarding the theory subjects and the respective planning studios.
We started this program in 2013, considering the global concern about inclusion of environmental issues in development planning. So, keeping that into focus, we designed this the syllabus for the program. And since environmental planning is an interdisciplinary course, so we thought of admitting students from various disciplines that includes humanities, geography, background, economics, sociology, apart from civil engineers, planners and architects.
As integrated semester in which all the disciplines of all the branches of planning come together and are taught about the introduction. They are given an introduction to what planning is. As people from various backgrounds and various disciplines come together to take up this semester becomes very necessary, as it lays the foundation to what we are going to do in the following 3 semesters. So the first subject that we are taught in this semester is planning history and theory, in which we are taught about the history of planning of ancient towns. The second subject that we are taught is housing and environment, in which the problems of housing are related to planning scenarios and planning interventions. The third subject we are taught is economics and urban sociology. The techniques of economics and the rules of economics, how they apply and how they'll help us in planning interventions. We basically take up that. And in urban sociology, we study human sociology to help us to learn planning and to understand the human aspect better. The fourth subject is infrastructure planning, in which we learn transportation planning and physical planning like water supply, sewage and etc. The fifth subject is demography and quantitative methods. Demography becomes an important part as planning is a course that deals basically with humans. So you have to know what you're dealing with, how much you're dealing with. So demography becomes a very important subject, and quantitative methods as equal to economics. It gives us the techniques to understand and to provide better solutions. The fifth subject is planning techniques, in which we are introduced to various techniques that can be used for giving planning interventions. Apart from that, we have a planning studio, in which in this particular semester we have 3 assignments. The first assignment is understanding the human settlements, in which we take up an exercise, we take up a case area, and we try to know how the human settlement of that particular case area evolved and how it is evolving. It is to understand the basic planning procedures and the basic planning tools and requirements of any city plan. The second assignment is area planning or local area planning that we call, in which an urban area is taken up and a small urban area is a small section of zone of an urban area is taken up, and we assess, we try to provide solutions. We try to first find out problems based on various sectors, and then we try to provide solutions for the same. The third assignment is rural planning, in which similar to urban planning, we take up various sectors, but as urban area and a rural area have different characteristics, it is necessary to study an urban area differently than a rural area.
So after completion of first semester, here we come to second semester, which is totally related to environmental planning. Now the first subject is environmental impact assessment, which tends to assess the impact on environment by human activity. So the next subject is environmental policies and legislation. Here the students are much more synthesized towards the legal framework and environmental policies which they have to work. Then the environmental economics and finance, which tends to find out the scopes and limitation with respect to the financial aspect. then the disaster mitigation and environmental management. This majorly tends the students to learn about the 5 aspects of disaster management, which is mitigation, rehabilitation, preparedness, responsiveness, and then reconstruction. So these are those 5. And then the environmental monitoring and assessment lab. Here we have a particular lab where we go and understand the methods to analyze or assess the environmental impact which has happened. So this is generally a time duration method. It is not like one time assessment. And then the next one is geoinformatics lab for environmental planning. Here the students are much more oriented towards the new technologies and softwares which we have for environmental planning and works. And lastly, the environmental studio, where we accumulate all these subjects together and imply it on a region. The major objective of this EP studio is to understand one specific region of India, geographical region of India. So here we understand and try to find out the environmental issues and also try to find out the best possible way to mitigate those issues with respect to environment. So this is what we have in second semester. And now the third semester starts. Before the starting of the semester, students are applied towards an professional training program majorly related to the planning, because here the students are from other disciplines also, so they need to know the planning aspects and working of that of those offices. So there is one summer training which is known as professional training for environmental planning course. And then after the starting, just starting of the semester, we have little more subjects which are like project appraisal, which tends towards the management of one project. If you have one project, how to implement it, which would be the process, which techniques you would use. So these all things are discussed in that subject. And then climate change and human settlement. This is one of the major subject of environmental planning, because here we learn about the climate change, which is one major topic these days. And then the human settlements, because we are humans and we are living in one settlement and we have to deal with environment also. So that is one thing. And then the waste management comes. So here every settlement has a different kind of waste generation and different amount of waste generation, which needs to be catered properly. Otherwise it may create issues for environment as well as the humans also. So this is one. And then the 2 electives. One is common elective. So that is floated, those subjects are floated for overall the master's program in planning as well as in architecture. There we have energy accounting and auditing, and then water resource management. So these are the 2 subjects which are open for all the master's students, whether it is architecture or planning. And then we have specific planning elective subjects which are green infrastructure, biodiversity and ecotourism, and then natural resource management. So these are the 3 subjects which are only for planning students. They can go for anyone, EP or URP. So, and lastly there comes the thesis, because upcoming will be 4th semester and that will be majorly dedicated to thesis. So we have to start our thesis mindset and all the literature review from the 3rd semester only, because to make it ease for the 4th semester. And then the environmental planning studio, second one. So here we have a city level or a smaller scale region which we choose, and then we analyze the environmental issues and find out the best possible ways to mitigate that, just like the environmental studio 1. But this is in a smaller scale and much more detail compared to the first one. So after this there is thesis semester.
Now we come to the fourth semester, that is the final semester of this course. In this semester, the students are assessed not only on the basis of their performance in academics, but also on the basis of their participation in various co-curricular activities, to know how the students have evolved as mature and confident professionals. In this semester, we have 4 subjects. The first one being an elective, for which we are given 3 choices. The first choice is urban forestry and landscape. In this subject, the students are sensitized towards the importance of urban forestry and landscape in environmental planning. The second choice that we are given is environment and society, in which we study the relationship between environment and society. And the third choice that we are given is environment and poverty, in which we study the issues arising out of poverty, the environmental issues that arise out of poverty. The second subject of this semester is dissertation, that is also known as a seminar, in which the students have to choose a contemporary environmental issue, a topic based on contemporary environmental issue, based on its past initiative and its future possibilities. The third subject is general proficiency. This is the subject in which the students are assessed on the basis of their participation in various co-curricular activities. This is an essential subject, as it motivates the students to have both academics and non-academics together. The fourth subject is thesis, which is the most interesting and the most fun part of the course, as it gives the students a chance to choose a topic of their interest and according to their capability of the relevant complexity. They can choose a topic on a contemporary environmental issue, and they can apply their research skills, abilities, and the knowledge gained over the past 1.5 years into the topic.
Urban and Regional Planning course in SPA Bhopal has been commenced since year 2010. Since then, SPA Bhopal is producing urban and regional planners who are capable of providing insight in the complex areas and emerging issues of cities and regions. The of urban and regional planning course makes them robust and into the market to be able to address all the issues which are possibly addressed by their fraternity.
As told earlier, first semester is all about integrated semester for environmental planning students and the urban regional planning students. So the second and the third semester is the core subjects, which is the basic foundation of the regional planning students. So the second semester is basically having 6 subjects. The first is regional planning and development. Regional planning and development, it consists of planning and development at a regional level, which is much higher than the development plan. The second is planning legislation. Now, legislative framework, which is considered for making a planning and development or development plan, precisely considering all the subjects. The third is local governance and management and finance. So government structure, which is considered for planning and development at each level, and tools and financial background considered for strengthening the development plan is considered in this. The fourth one is land economics and real estate. The major focus of this subject is to make students understand basically regarding the land markets and the driving factors by the private developers for the development plan and understanding the market reality. The fifth one is transportation planning and management, which precisely makes students aware of transportation planning and the needs which is to be considered when we talk about land use planning. The sixth is geoinformatics laboratory, which is the core tool for understanding the regional plan, because it is very difficult to understand at such a high scale, and which is only possible just because of the GIS, which is geoinformatics laboratory. And the last one is studio regional planning, which focuses on the regional plan of an area, which consists of all the core subjects which we have been talking about, and consider making a regional plan. So this is all about second semester. Before talking about third semester, we have summer training for all the students. So all the students apply to government organizations or private organizations to have a better understanding of all the core subjects, whatever they have been studied in the second semester and the first semester. So now when we talk about third semester, we have project appraisal and management. Project appraisal and management is to make students aware of how the projects as initiated from the conceptualization to the evaluation. The second is disaster mitigation and management. So disaster mitigation and management is to make students understand about how natural and man-made disasters affect the planning and how it should be considered. Tools should be considered for disaster mitigation and management. The third is urban design and landscape. It is basically focusing on the design and the landscape planning in urban regional planning. So it is considered on a very minute level of designing and planning. We have common pool, then we have electives, which is optional, which consists of two subjects. First is planning for special areas, in which it deals with areas with their special needs and implications and in terms of planning and development. The second is sustainable planning practices in terms of planning and development in these areas. So we have thesis programming and studio. The studio deals with urban planning and for an area where we talk about planning implications, their problems and the solution. Now thesis programming deals with introduction of the thesis topic, how we go about the entire thesis programming and the urban regional plan level, and understanding the planning and development and what all topics and the variation of the field we can basically take as a topic for the dissertation. Now we talk about fourth semester. We have two subjects. First is public-private partnership and development. This subject deals with the public sector and the private sector and their partnership for a development. Like we talk about any project where the government have the funds but they don't have the manpower. Like if the government have the manpower, they don't have the funds. So this is how the public and the private partnership is taken into picture. So this is all about the subject. The second elective is public policy analysis. This policy analysis basically deals with planning implications on the basis of policies and the acts which have been part of the legislation in the second semester. Now the third is the seminar. Seminar is a mini dissertation with respect to thesis, where you have to take into consideration about all the aspects but on a smaller scale, and it can be a literature review for your thesis as well. So now we come to the last, that is thesis. Thesis is all about your understanding, what you have understood in last 3 semesters and your training. So it is basically about considering your interest in terms of transportation, planning or development or housing, or in terms of planning. It is basically a topic which we take into a critical evaluation, implications and the proposal. So basically this is all about urban and regional planning and the last semester, that is the 4th semester.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you find this video useful, do share it and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos.